Hi, I'm Madeline from Sheen Slings and this is my review of the Beauden the Label sling. I might not be saying that right, so apologies to them if I'm not, but I was super excited to try this sling for reasons I'm going to get into at the end when I compare this sling to other carriers on the market and talk about if it's worth it. But first of all, let's judge this carrier on its own merits. And the first thing to say about it is relatively lightweight. It packs down quite small. Quite lightweight. It's made of organic cotton and linen blend. So if I get this interior in, you can see it's quite malleable. It's not the softest to feel, but neither does it feel particularly rough. You know how linen can either be really super soft or a little bit coarse. I wouldn't say it was either end of the spectrum, sort of somewhere more in the middle. Definitely probably the cotton is helping temper it down. And if I hold it up, this is a sling where they've gone for quite smooth lines, quite unfussy design, quite sleek. It's solid black. I think they offer a few colours. They're all sort of solid. And the material is actually slightly textured. So if I bring it in, you can see there's a slight weave. I don't know if you can, a slight weave pattern. It's quite beautiful, but quite, understated, slim, quite fashion forward. And it's clearly a sling where they've gone for a particular look, a particular aesthetic. So black, and then we've got these detailing. So let's talk about this detailing. We've got these sort of rose gold bits, and then weirdly, we've got some that are nickel. I don't know why, well, they say not actually nickel look. If you feel them, they're quite clearly plastic, and likewise this one is sort of a matte gold, rose gold look, but again it feels really plastic. But look like those metals. I don't know why they're mismatching. I don't know why they haven't gone all rose gold, matte gold colour, and the buckle at the back is, again, that one is that matte gold, rose gold. Obviously this one's just black plastic. So they've gone for these details. Now, so again, this one feels really plastic, and they're sort of sewn on like button stalks, which some look better than others. Some of them are really quite untidy. This one's got something on it, but it's actually really very untidily sewn. And it kind of gives you a little bit of nervousness about if they're going to come off. I mean, actually at the moment they look quite secure, but they look like how my mum used to sew buttons on when they came off on our coat, and they never lasted very long. So I'm a little bit nervous about these buttons that being in positions where babies are going to chew and fiddle with them. And certainly on any other carrier, I've never sort of seen something look like it could come off. And then we have like this thing, and we have another thing down here, and I want to like draw your attention to these. These are really sharp, like really sharp. I have no idea. I mean, clearly they're going for a look, and it looks really high end and luscious, but it's really sharp. It's got sharp edges. It's got a really rough textured bit along here. It doesn't really feel like something I want near a baby. Particularly this end is really sharp. It feels like it can clunk. I've caught myself on it. I don't really know what I know, it's a bit like it looks nice, but I don't really want it on a baby carrier. And they've got like this lovely, their logo sewn on here, and it's like I can get my finger. It doesn't feel terribly well attached. And actually there's another one on the bag that came with it, and it's already hanging off. So I should say I've been loaned this carrier by someone, and they bought it brand new, so this is barely used. This is hanging off. I mean, obviously on the bag it doesn't matter, but it makes me think that that one's going to go the same way after not very long. So then let's get into the carrier. So waistband wise, not overly wide actually, nice and malleable, but padded. Quite a nice waistband actually. And then inside, before I put it on, I'll show you how it fits me in a minute, we have an adjustment system inside. So that's really nice. This is completely width adjustable. I've got this on the second smallest setting, but you can take this buttonhole to this button. And then there are two further buttons. Is it 2 or 5? 2 further buttons in there. So you can widen this out as baby grows. Having seen it on the smallest, I don't think it would really fit a brand newborn, but I think it would fit sort of from 4 to 6 weeks. And then it's going to go out wide enough so that it fits at least 18 months-ish, maybe a little more. We'll talk about the upper end a bit later. But yeah, so it will widen with your baby, so you can get a nice knee-to-knee position. And we have got some seat darts, so we get a nice scooped, lovely M shape scoop position. But this adjustment system, so I have tried to move these. It is really fiddly to get these on and off these buttons. Again, these buttons, it's the matte gold plastic buttons. They are sewn on quite shonkily, particularly when you come to back carrying and twisting baby round. I found with another carrier that was poppers, it was always unpopping, because with the twisting, these undergo quite a lot of torsion. And I'm worried that with that twisting and torsion of people using that method to get on off their back, these buttons are going to go. I am reassured that there is like a safety thing, so if all these buttons were undone, it's still attached to the waistband through this loop and through this webbing. So I am reassured in that even if these buttons pinged off, your baby's going nowhere, they're still safe, this is still going to hold. And the other thing we're saying, I don't know if you can see in here some of the buttonholes that are not in use. The buttonholes are just sewn really shonkily. They're fraying. They just look a mess. And when you really look inside this, it looks a mess. But I mean, when it's in use, you're not going to see it. But it doesn't fill me with an over amount of, what's the word I'm searching for? I just don't have a lot of confidence when you look at that and you see it sort of really shonky. And it starts making you, normally I wouldn't pay such a close attention. Well, I do because it's my job. But a lot of people, you would see it. But as soon as you start noticing it, you start noticing other things like all these extra threads that haven't been snipped down. And it just starts to look quite untidy. And that just makes you lose confidence in how well made, if you're going to be putting your baby in here and you're going to be using it a lot. So let me show you the waistband. As you can see, medium width, nice, and does mould round nicely. Tightens from this end. Ow, just caught myself on the sharp thingy. And we can tighten this up. I've got quite a bit spare, but not loads, I would say, and there's not so much more you can tighten. I will get into this a bit more when I bring the shoulder straps across too. I don't think this is going to fit larger plus size end. I think it will happily probably go to a UK 18 and probably 20, but beyond that I don't think it's going to fit. I am a UK 10-ish on top, 12 on my bottom, but 10-ish on top. I've only got about this much, so I think if you're below about a UK 8, you're probably going to struggle. So it doesn't have the biggest fit range compared to some other carriers on the market that are a bit more inclusive. Might go down, I may be being unfair, it might go down to a 6, but it's certainly not going to fit the super petite. So then if I bring it up over baby, panel, as I said, does adjust. It is quite nice and soft. And got headrest, I'll talk about in a minute, but let's get the straps done up. So the straps on this are designed to crisscross. With my bare arms, I've just been, that just stabbed into me, which wasn't great. I wouldn't have felt it if I had the top on, but also the top I was wearing today was a long sleeve top on, was black, so I need to take it off with a black carrier. Anyway, good test for summer. So these are designed to crisscross behind you. There is no interconnecting strap, so we can't wear these not crisscrossed. And then we have this backward pull, which is fine. We do have these elastics as a security thing. I actually find them really hard to pull over, so I haven't been using them, but they are there if you are feeling more nervous. And so let's tighten that up. And you can see crisscross behind me. Actually, I prefer a cross strap carrier, so this is, once I get this nice and snug, actually quite comfortable for me. I find it quite comfortable, quite light and easy to wear. We have this headrest which attaches via the shonky buttons, and it can go inwards, out here or up, so much like similar design to Ergo, Tula and Artipoppe in that respect, and will adjust in height of the carrier although if you've got it up, you have, when baby's older, they are going to be against that rough bit. So in terms of how long it's going to last, I think realistically, from the size of the panel, it will work from, as I said, around 6 to 8 weeks. Just in terms of, it will go narrower than this, but it won't go a lot narrower. And in terms of when baby's ready to open their legs, I think 6 to 8 weeks is probably the earliest this is going to feel really comfortable, unless you have a very big newborn. And then in terms of the panel size, I think it's going to last to easily 18 months, maybe to 2 years. But then in terms of use, so it offers a front carry, it offers a hip carry, and they advertise a back carry, and you can do it. But it is worth noting there is no interconnecting strap. So if I move this around, you can start to see what I mean. So if I move my baby around to my back, and obviously when you're doing this, your child will be older, so they will be a little bit bigger than my 3 to 4 month age doll. So we now, for the back carry, I can tighten this up like so and like so, using these, so that just gets rid of this extra loop of fabric. And if you don't want it hanging around dangling, you can use these elastics to sort of tidy it up like so, onto the mismatching coloured button. And I can do the same on the other side, but rather than making you watch me do that, without the interconnecting strap, these just want to fall off my shoulders. And I have tightened this up almost to the absolute max. So this is also what I'm talking about with, yeah, we are now at actual max. What I'm talking about in terms of not necessarily fitting petite people, I'm not particularly petite. I can't get that any tighter, and this is coming off my shoulders. Now, obviously, as somebody whose maid carries their business, if this was mine or I was using it, I would just take a ribbon, a shoelace, and tie these together. But I shouldn't have to. And it does mean when you're looking at how long a carrier is going to last, yeah, okay, panel's going to be big enough, but most people want to start wearing their baby on their back more from a year onwards, and that's how you get out to like the 18 months, 2 years, because then baby can see over your shoulder, and it's far more comfortable for you. As humans generally, we load bear better on our back than on our front. But this carrier, I don't feel safe like this. I would need to modify this carrier to feel safe. So, if you weren't prepared or didn't know to, then I would say this carrier probably maxes out before around 18 months max, where you would start to get too heavy on the front. But maybe even 15 months. But as I said, you can use a shoelace. So, with all that in mind, in terms of what it does, and it is also worth saying it doesn't do an outward facing position, it's just, they advertise just a front and a back, but you can also do a hip carry. I've tried that, and there'll be a picture in the written review of that, and that actually works really nicely. So, what do I think of this carrier, and do I think it's worth it? So, let's talk about price. It is retailing for £165. Now, I was actually super excited to try it because it looks, and when I was looking at it online, it looks like a carbon copy of an Artipoppe. Artipoppe have same elastic, same design with the straps, same design of adjustment system, although there's a poppers rather than buttons. And I was like, wow, 165 is significantly cheaper than an Artipoppe. But let's judge it on its own for a moment. 165 is the same price as an Ergo, Omni, Breeze, really well-made carrier, really long-lived, really thing. Same as the Tula, same as the Manduka. Again, really well-made, really long-lasting carriers. When somebody tries on an Ergo or a Tula or a Manduka with me and they like them, I have no problem saying, yeah, go buy one, and spend that money, spend that 150 to 170 pounds, because I know it will last them, you know, a full 2 years with that child, and I know if they have more children, it will last, it will last through those children, because they are well made and strong enough to do that. I have no faith with this carrier that it's even going to last 2 years with one child. Just in terms of, as I went through, the sort of shonky workmanship just puts doubts in my mind. And so to be £165 and be at that same price level of carriers where there's a really high level of quality workmanship versus this that honestly looks like a relatively inexperienced person has whipped it up. I couldn't with all good consciousness tell people to spend that money. I would be having a really different conversation on this video if it was retailing at 80 quid. I would be like, okay, it's a bit cheaply put together. They've worried more about gold finishes than how the carrier works. But it's 80 quid. But it isn't, it's 165. So then we get into the Artipoppe thing. So it really does look like an Artipoppe, and it was really interesting reading their website. They said they came up with the design in 2020 during lockdown when they couldn't find a carrier that looked the way they wanted to, and that's kind of interesting because the Artipoppe's been on the market as long as I've been in this business, so at least from 2014, probably longer. So clearly, and the fact that all the detailing and all the positions of everything is the same, it would say to me, and I hope this doesn't get me in trouble, that they did find the carrier, they just didn't want to pay £330 starting from, they go up, you know, for it, and they thought, oh, hey, we can make something that looks like an Artipoppe, but a lot cheaper. And I think a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, like, let's buy this, it's half the price of the Artipoppe. But it feels, having tried both, it feels nothing like the Artipoppe. The Artipoppe is really well made. It's really, really well made. It feels really good. It will last a really, really long time. And it's sort of interesting because I was expecting to like this, but actually it's not worth £165. I've always said the Artipoppe is not worth 330. That much more, and this really helped me put it into context. That feels the same build and quality workmanship as the Ergo, the Tula and the Manduka that sit around 160. This does not. You are paying that premium to look like an Artipoppe, but you are not getting the quality. So yeah, I was super excited because I get so many people saying, oh, I really love the look of the Artipoppe. Is there something that's similar that you could recommend? And I wanted to try this because I was hoping that this would be, I'd be like, oh, there's this one. But actually, there's no way I can recommend anyone spends £165 on this carrier when it doesn't offer a safe back carrying. It doesn't do an outward position, which the Artipoppe, the Tula, the Ergo will do. Well, and if you don't want one, that's fine. There are lots of carriers that don't do that as well, like Manduka, and many, many others. There's just so many other carriers on the market that are better made, that are the same price tag. So, if you have one of these, or you have some thoughts, or you wanted to know more about it, please do get in touch. Use the comments box below. All the best.